Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since my last video, but if you have been following the channel of late you will know that recently I visited some German theme parks: Phantasialand, Holiday Park, Tripsdrill and Europa Park. In this video I will give you a quick summary on my experiences at each of these parks. I won't go into much depth about each coaster, but I may make a top 10 coasters in Germany video for another time. So stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's just get straight into the first park that I visited. The first park I visited this summer and in all of 2020 was Phantasialand. I believe that the park has 3 entrances. I used the mystery entrance, which means Klugheim was one of the first things I saw in this entire park, but I think this park would benefit if it did have one main entrance. I didn't actually walk down the Berlin main street at all because there was not really any reason to. It was quite busy down there, and with COVID that wasn't something I wanted to do. But on the other hand, it does help distribute guests early on, and that might make the park seem a little bit less busy on entrance. The park's theming is absolutely incredible, especially Klugheim, but the Deep in Africa area and Chinatown and some other areas as well. The whole Berlin Plaza is really nice. They are of course building Ruchbe, which will feature Fly, and that will be another major coaster for this park. I did feel like this park did have a lack of major coasters. The only 2 major thrill coasters really were Taron and Black Mamba. Colorado Adventure was the 3rd best ride in the park, and with it being a fairly old Vekoma mine train, you might think that that's a little bit disappointing. So I think Fly will definitely be a very important investment. The park does have a good lineup of flat rides, especially Talokan and Mystery Castle, which was really unique. It's a drop tower, but the trains are located on the inside of the tower. They're on the walls and they're facing each other, which was really weird. It was such a strange ride. And obviously Talokan, that's really good. The fire effects are great. The seating is a little bit uncomfortable, but it's so intense. I didn't manage to ride River Quest because of its long queue, but Chapas is phenomenal, and I think those 2 water rides do work very well with this park. Chapas has got to be the best water ride in the world, I think. I don't see any ride that could be better, but that is my opinion. If you have ridden a water ride better than Chapas, then leave it in the comments. The overall layout of the park was quite messy in my opinion. The fact that the paths have lots of different layers and there's different bridges, it did confuse me quite a bit and I got a little bit lost, but to be honest, that only helps with the immersion of this amazing park. I wouldn't say it's the best in the world, but I can definitely understand all the hype it gets. The second park I visited was Holiday Park. Of course, the main draw to this park is its major coaster, Expedition G-Force, which is also my new number 1. But in my opinion, people overlook the second best coaster at this park, Skyscream. I'll go into detail about the layout for this ride and what I like about it so much in another video. But the theming for this is also really good. It's got a brilliant facade and the queue line is amazing. There's jump scares, it's literally a scare maze, and I believe in the past it has had actors in its queue line. So yeah, I believe there's a sign saying you have to be 14 plus to ride it, and I can definitely see why. Just like some of the social distancing measures, this wasn't really enforced, so don't worry in the future. If you are under 14, I'm sure you'll still be able to ride it. So the park does have 2 amazing coasters, and in my opinion this park did actually have the best top 2 of any park I visited this summer, so that's quite controversial, but they are really good, both of them. Unfortunately, the operations at this park are absolutely terrible. Definitely have to be the worst operations I've ever seen. It takes them so long to dispatch trains. In Skyscream's queue line there was only really a maximum of 20 people, and that sounds like it should just be a walk-on, but that still ended up almost taking 10 minutes because the operations are so bad. Just like Phantasialand, this park does have a very good log flume and river rapids. There are some pretty good theming in these actually. However, the theming is quite inconsistent. It does feel a little bit tacky as well, but that's not that bad because this park does obviously have a limited budget. Despite that, the park has made some recent investments. They've recently opened Holiday Indoor, which is an indoor themed area, and I did really enjoy my time in this place. Unlike some other areas, it doesn't feel tacky at all. Holiday Park is also beginning to construct another themed area called Vickyland. This area will contain a Zamperla disco coaster. Hopefully the theming isn't tacky here either. The park does have a pretty decent collection of flat rides, including Anubis Freefall Tower, which was the first drop tower in Europe. Overall, I wouldn't say that Holiday Park competes at all with any of the top parks in Europe, but it's definitely worth a visit, with it being home to Expedition G-Force, which is definitely one of the best roller coasters in the world. The third park I visited this summer was Tripsdrill, and this is definitely one of the most charming parks I've ever been to. It's very pretty and well decorated, just so tidy, and it does have some good theming as well. In terms of rides, it does feel more family oriented, but there are two major coasters, Carajo, which opened in 2013, and Hals über Kopf, which opened this year, and that is one of my favourite coasters. Both are good, but I prefer Hals über Kopf, which is of course the first ever Vekoma suspended thrill coaster. Unfortunately, that ride has opened a little bit early without any theming at all, just like Carajo did originally. And I think it's good that they've done that so people can ride it even if it's not complete. It is themed around German fairy tale, which is why the ride does have some very nice trains. But for the buildings and the landscaping, I expect to see that all finished next year, and I believe it will look brilliant just like the rest of the park. Don't forget as well that this ride interacts with another ride also built by Vekoma. It's a family boomerang, and that is called Voldampf. That didn't really impress me at all, but it does have a nice theme and it definitely complements the area well. And you can see the two trains almost dueling quite often, which is a very nice feature. Another main coaster at this park is a wooden coaster called Mammoth, and this is quite fun. It's not amazing, but it does give you some flow to airtime at points. It's not painful, but it is very bumpy, to be honest, and I actually got airtime in a valley because it was that bumpy. Another coaster here is Phantasialand, which was actually the first ever Gerstlauer. And this does have some really nice theming in the queue line, especially in the indoor area. The ride also loops around this castle building, which is intricately designed and it looks very beautiful, just like lots of other buildings in this park. The park has a very good log flume and a not so good river rapids, but both do have very good theming. Similarly to rides all over Tripsdrill, the water rides do have some very strange themes. One of them is themed around a fountain that makes people young, while the other is themed around washing machines. Tripsdrill is also home to lots of small flat rides which are really unique, and I didn't manage to get on that many of these because we happened to go on a very busy day. I wanted to spend a lot more time at this park than I did. The queues were quite big. Normally I don't think it's like that, but it's really good. Great park, definitely worth visiting, very underrated. The fourth and final theme park I visited this summer was Europa Park. And this park is absolutely huge. There's no way you can get everything done in one day, I'm gonna say that straight away. I did have 2 days. The first day was 5 years ago, but we'll ignore that. In one day you will be able to do all of the major coasters, and I'll talk a bit about them now. First of all, Silver Star, that's definitely the best ride in the park. It's got really good operations as well, just like many coasters at this park. So I was able to get lots of free rides on this coaster, which was brilliant because it's an airtime machine. The other two headlining coasters at this park are Voden and Blue Fire. These two didn't really impress me very much, but they are still decent rides and they definitely benefit the park's lineup. But in my opinion, Europa Park doesn't get credited enough on other coasters it does have. They are all suitable for the family and they are enjoyable. Some of the older ones are starting to get a little bit rough, such as Poseidon and Euromir, but they still have some good theming and they're really good fun. There's lots of other mentions as well, such as Eurosat Can Coaster, which is a brilliant experience. It's got some really nice effects and onboard audio. Pegasus and Matterhorn Blitz are also some nice little coasters with brilliant first drops on both of them for their scale, and I believe that Europa Park also have the first ever Mack bobsled coaster, which I didn't ride in this visit, but I did ride it 5 years ago. And that is something that you got to remember with this park. With it being owned by the Mack family, many of the rides here are prototypes of Mack coasters which have now gone on to become successful. For example, Blue Fire was the first Mack launch coaster, and now there's many of them all around the world, such as Icon and Copperhead Strike. Another prototype is Artua, the Mack inverted powered spinning coaster, which is really good, that's got some brilliant theming as well. Moving on now to dark rides, Europa Park holds many small dark rides and they often have almost no queue at all, so when some of the big rides are busy, it's always good and refreshing to go and walk on and get a nice relaxing ride on some of these dark rides. For example, Madame Freudenreich and Snorri Touren. They are both worth doing during your visit to Europa Park. But the best of the bunch is Piraten in Batavia, which is a recently refurbished dark ride which is just opened just over a month ago now, and in my opinion this is absolutely fantastic. It's probably my favourite dark ride I've ever experienced. Yeah, it's just so good. And something that shocked me with this is how realistic the animatronics look. You've definitely got to ride Piraten in Batavia if you visit Europa Park. It is nestled away in the Netherlands area, so make sure you don't forget because it's not that obvious. But for me, overall, Europa Park is just a fantastic park. It's really tidy as well. I couldn't find any messy area at all. But it's definitely not one that you want to rush. But as an overall experience for a theme park, it's probably my favourite ever. So thank you so much for watching. That is the end of the video, unless you're sticking around for the channel update. So whilst I update you guys on the channel, I will show you some footage of a new Planet Coaster project that I have been working on called Lilienburg, and I will eventually make some videos for this park, so stay tuned for that. But with schools starting back up again in the UK, I will have a lot less time on my hands to make these videos, so I'm just telling you now not to expect any schedule really. It's just going to be quite casual from now on, but I'll still make good content hopefully. So I hope you guys stick around for the foreseeable future. But thank you so much for listening, it really means a lot to me, and goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day guys. Bye.